I'm delighted to be able to interview Dominique Wohlschlag here in his beautiful home, surrounded by statues, icons, and works of art from all diverse cultures. I see a Native American painting to my left. I see a beautiful Moroccan tray in front of me, and a statue of...
Apsaras.
Of?
Apsaras.
Apsaras.
It's a nymph.
A nymph, one of the nymphs of the Hindu tradition to my right, and that is Shiva over there?
No, this is just a sadhu.
Just a sadhu.
A sage.
A sage.
A thread,
right.
Brahmanic thread on his shoulder, on his right shoulder, and he holds a tasbih.
Now, what's that called?
Rudraksha.
Rudraksha. And Dominique is an expert in Hinduism, among other subjects. He's written several books on the Hindu tradition, two of which I've read, which are the Keys to the Mahābhārata and the Queen and the Avatara, about the La Reine et l'Avatara in French.
La Reine et l'Avatar.
Yes, l'Avatar. So I've asked Dominique to give us this little interview in order to answer a specific question that I had regarding the ways in which Shiva and Brahmā figure within the Mahābhārata, which is so much a story concerning the manifestation, the avatara of Vishnu in the form of Krishna. But I've noticed in my readings and so on that Shiva also plays an important role, as does Brahmā. So my first question to Dominique was this. How do the two other members of the Trimurti figure in the Mahābhārata? And why is it, a supplementary question, why is it that we speak about Vaiṣṇavites and Śivaites devoted to Vishnu and Shiva respectively, but we don't have a category of Brahmānites? So those are the two questions, and I'm going to let Dominique take over from here.
So the first thing to say about the Trimurti is that only two of the figures of a Trimurti, that is Vishnu and Shiva, have followers, so to say, devotees. But there is another god, which is the goddess Devi, who has a lot of followers also. So if you go to India, you will find the devotees to Vishnu, devotees to Shiva, and the devotees to the Devi. Why there is no special devotee for Brahmā? There are several reasons, metaphysical reasons, I would say, because, just to summarize, one of them is that Brahmā is considered as a creator. So he has nothing to do to help us to go out of creation. He's not a God who leads to salvation, whereas either Vishnu and Shiva and the Devi offer ways to salvation. This is the main reason, I guess. And for example, it is known that there is only one, or maybe only a very few numbers of temples of Brahmā in India. There's a famous one somewhere in the Maharashtra, I think, but this is a rarity. I think it's enough, maybe, for the first question. Now, what is the place of Shiva in the Mahābhārata? Also, I'm going to be very short, because it would take us a long time to explore all the aspects of that. But Shiva, I would say, there are three apparitions of Shiva in the Mahābhārata. Maybe the first one to mention is not in the core of the text. It is just in the introduction. In the introduction it is said that Vyasa, who is the mythic author of Mahābhārata, wanted to asked Ganesh, the god Ganesh with the elephant head, to perform as a scribe. On dit bien comme ça, n'est-ce pas? And Ganesh took out of his tusk to make a pen, and he wrote down the Mahābhārata. And there were a pact between them. Vyasa told him that he was going to tell the whole story without interruption. So it was a long work. You have 10,000 pages in the Mahābhārata. And Ganesh was not permitted to ask questions. And in some cases, Vyasa had needed some time to think about what he was going to say. So he put some riddles just to let Ganesh think about that while writing. And then he gave the following part of the story. So why I'm speaking of Ganesh? Because Ganesh is the adopted son of Shiva. Ganesh is exactly the son of Parvati, the wife of Shiva. Do you want me to tell you a story of that? So according to mythology, Parvati was one day alone in a bath, and she had some dust on her thigh, and she scratched it, and out of that came Ganesha. So it is said that Ganesh is the son of Parvati. He was a beautiful young man, straightly. And, the thigh might be a metaphor of a sex. In some cases, in the Mahābhārata, the thigh means a sex, the womb in that case. And when Shiva arrived, he came back to his wife, he saw his wife with a beautiful young boy, and he had some doubts about the purity of his wife. So he cut the head of the boy. And Parvati was completely distressed because of that. And she said, well, you have killed my son. I had no adultery at all. He came out of me like that. It was like a virgin birth. So Shiva was confused. And he said, well, I'm going to replace his head. And he wanted to take the head of any being coming in front of him. And the first being which came in front of him was an elephant. So he cut the head of the elephant and put the head of the elephant on the body of the boy.
I see.
That's the birth of Ganesha.
I see.
So the fact is, in many cases, we say that now the head of Ganesh is a macrocosm and the body of man is a microcosm. And there are many symbols in the life of Ganesh. But this means that at one point the text of Vyasa had to be written, not only told, because it's the beginning of scripture. So many scholars think that this story was an adjunction to the Mahābhārata. Later on, when there was some need to put it, to write it down, to transmit it to posterity. But it means also that it was the son of Shiva who did that, you see. So it means also that at that point, the devotees of Shiva took something of the Mahābhārata, who took the Mahābhārata as one of the sacred scriptures. So this is the first part of my answer. Then Shiva appears at least twice in the Mahābhārata. First, one at the beginning, before the beginning of the war, when the Pandava wanted to recover their kingdom, they asked Arjuna, who was one of them, the third of the Pandava, asked Arjuna to go to the Himalaya mountain
Sorry, Dominique. The first Pandava, I thought Arjuna was older than Bhima, but you're saying
No.
he's number 3?
He's number 3.
And
Yes.
so it's
So Yudhishthira is first,
Yudhishthira.
then Bhima, then Arjuna, then
Nakula.
Nakula, and Sahadeva.
Sahadeva.
The 3 are sons of Kunti. Yudhishthira is a son of Dharma, because Kunti could have children only with the intervention of gods.
Right.
Kunti had the first son, Yudhishthira, with Dharma, the second one, Bhima, with Vayu, which is the wind. Then Arjuna with Indra. Then she gave her mantra to have these children with gods to her co-spouse,
Exactly.
Madri, who could use it only once. I give it to you, but you can use it only once. And that Madri, who was very clever, she asked the Ashwins, because she could have twins with that. And the twins were Nakula and Sahadeva.
Right, that's how they're twins.
So they are half brothers, or more or less. But they are very, they make a very good team, like the fingers of the hand, these 5. Exactly. In some episodes, in some parts of the story, they have some quarrels between them. They don't agree on some tactics for a war and so on. But anyway, they form a very good team. So, at one point, they have to recover their kingdom. And the 4 brothers ask Arjuna to go to Himalaya to ask Shiva to give him some special weapon. And Shiva gave him a weapon called Pashupati. It was a terrible weapon. This is that strange thing that in the Mahābhārata you have des armes de destruction massive. You say that in English.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destructions. So in that time they could imagine that, you see. And even the grass is trembling at the idea that these semi-gods or gods or heroes could use such weapons. So that weapons was given by Shiva. Of course, Shiva as the Lord of Transformation and also the tamasic aspect of the Trimurti is there to go to the end of the cycle, to bring a new one. That is mainly his function. And so Arjuna, in a way, is an incarnation of Indra, but in another way, is also an incarnation of Shiva, because he got a power, a special power from Shiva.
I see.
Whereas Krishna is Vishnu, Vyasa is Brahmā, because he's the creator of the whole story, and Draupadi, who is the wife of the 5 brothers, Draupadi, which is the earth, or Shakti, is called Krishna in the feminine, with a long A at the end.
Oh, really?
So these are the 4 Krishnas in the Mahābhārata. The 4 of them at one point are called Krishna.
I see.
So Draupadi is the incarnation of a Devi in that case. So you must always, if you think about the Hindu mythology, remember that beside the Trimurti there is a Devi. And do you want me to make just an excursion in the Devi or in the story of Devi? Yes.
Please do.
There are many stories about the origin of a Devi, but the main one I would say is that at one point there was a man, a king on earth, I don't remember his name, Mahishasura, who made very terrible austerities to gain powers. So he was so good at that then Brahma was obliged to give him some special powers. They asked him, what power do you want? I want to be immortal. All right, but it's not possible. Only gods are immortal. So I want that nobody could fight me in a battle. No man could fight me in a battle. Because he thought that with that he was sure to be immortal. And the Brahma said, all right, no man will be able to kill you in a battle, in a single battle. And so at one point he went with his army and he was overwhelming all the kingdoms around, and he did terrible deeds in the country. And all the devotees, all the people went to the gods and asked them, just stop that. It's not possible for us to live in such condition. And at that point, they decided to create a woman who could win the battle against Mahābhārata.
I see.
So at that point, all the gods who were there, mainly Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Indra, and several others, met in a circle and concentrated the strength, the Shakti in the middle, and suddenly in the middle appeared a beautiful woman. That was the Devi, or Durga. In that case, we call her Durga. And that every god gave her a weapon. So she has 64 arms and 64 weapons. I call her le couteau suisse de la mythologie.
The Swiss knife.
The Swiss knife of mythology. So she could comment est-ce qu'on dit?
She could vanquish.
She could vanquish Mahābhārata.
Now, you used the word Shakti. You said that the gods formed a circle.
Yes.
And they concentrated their Shakti.
Their power, yes, so to say.
So Shakti, before the Devi was, as it were, created, this notion of Shakti was already there as the energy of the god.
Yes, and so the Durga personifies the Shakti of all these gods.
I see.
Even if you can, according to another point of view, you can consider that every god has a special or individual Shakti. But Shakti is an energy which you can mix all the energies of the gods to obtain the Devi.
Right.
So the Devi is very popular in Tantrism and what we call Shaktism also. And she is very popular in the low castes. And when I was in Kerala, I was studying the rites dedicated among the untouchables, the rites dedicated to the Devi. So I go back to the story. So that was to explain that you have to understand that in Hinduism, in the Hindu mythology, according to what it becomes for the people, is composed by 4 main deities, the Trimurti and the Devi. Now, this is about the Arjuna as Shiva. He took that strength of Shiva to be very strong in the war. And the aim of the war, you can put it in several ways, is to soulager la terre, to
heal the earth?
Yeah, because there are too many people on earth by that time. And it is to bring a new, this is a function of Krishna, to bring a new Dharma for the last age, for the Kali Yuga. And the third apparition of Shiva is through the son of Drona. Drona is the guru of the Pandava. The guru is the master of arms. And he teaches all the sons of Dhritarashtra and all the sons of Pandu how to fight. Strange to say, this is a Brahman, but with a Kshatriya knowledge. And this guru, very venerated by all these people, has a son called Ashwatthama. And that son plays a very important role at the end of the Mahābhārata. Because at the end of the Mahābhārata, at the end of the war, because at the end of the war, all the fighters of the Kaurava section of the Kaurava army have been killed, except 3 people. And one of them is Ashwatthama. And he's an incarnation of Shiva. And he wants to take a revenge. And just to make it short, he has the possibility to kill all the survivors of the Pandava army. Even he thinks that he was able to kill the 5 Pandava themselves, but he killed only their sons, because each one of these Pandava had a son with Draupadi during 5 years. And he could kill them, but he was thinking that he was killing the Pandava, but he killed only the sons, only, if you can say. And so that Ashwatthama is performing the role of Shiva in the Mahābhārata. Just at the not completely, doesn't kill completely everybody, because the world has to continue for the last age.
I see. That's very interesting. Thank you very much. Now, I have a question that comes out of my viewing of the Mahābhārata on Indian television. The huge series, I don't know how many, dozens of episodes. In one episode, I remember seeing a man who had stolen Draupadi from the Pandavas. And then the Pandavas caught up with him and they plucked all of the hair from his head. Eyebrows, beard, moustache, everything. And he was completely bald. And to get his revenge, he sat under a tree and he was just saying Om Namah Shivaya continuously, asking Shiva to give him revenge against the Pandavas. And what I remember is that Shiva is up there in his paradise and he says, well, what do I do? This man is calling upon me. He's invoking my name. I have to respond, but how can I give him power against the Pandavas? Now, this may be made up in the television series. I don't know if it's in the original Mahābhārata.
I don't know the story.
Because then, as I remember it, Shiva says, well, and I think Parvati was with him, trying to give him advice. And he says, I have to do something. This man is calling on my name. I'm obliged to respond. But I can't give him power over the Pandavas. What I can do, and I think she suggested, or they came to an agreement, that what he could do was to give this man one day in which he would be invincible against the Pandavas, and that's how he killed in the battle one of the sons of
The son of Arjuna.
Of Arjuna.
Yes, Abhimanyu.
That's it. Abhimanyu. So there it seems that Shiva, there may be a fourth manifestation,
yes.
Unless it's something fabricated.
Yes, there are some. Yes, maybe there are some others still, but no, I don't have another one in mind.
So what you've said helped me to understand that, whereas Vishnu and his manifestation as Krishna is on the side of the Pandavas, and therefore there has to be a continuity into the new cycle, into the Kali Yuga. In a way, it's a metaphysical juxtaposition of the principle of preservation and the principle of creative destruction. That an age has to be brought to an end in order for there to be a preservation of the essence of the revelation, which comes from Vishnu. Whereas Shiva's role is to bring things to an end to the extent that a new age will begin, and in that new age, the seeds from the previous age will be able to germinate. And those seeds, I take it, are the Pandavas themselves.